This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Hey Darklings, Kaylin here. We know our generation has a surplus of pretty darkness in common, and if there's one thing unpacking our upbringing has taught us, it's just how essential therapy is for shining a flashlight on the darkness in our own lives. I don't know where I'd be without mine. I believe every human can benefit from the perspective of a licensed therapist. Whether you're familiar with your own inner workings or you're just looking for a listening ear, you can give BetterHelp online therapy a try by going to betterhelp.com/prettydark and receive 10% off your first month. I get that online therapy can be tricky, but I've been seeing my therapist online since 2020, and I'm here to tell you that it's absolutely worth it. Getting started is always the hardest part, and BetterHelp makes that easy. You can begin right from your phone or computer in whatever way makes you most comfortable, via good old-fashioned phone calls, video chats, or even messaging, if that's more your style. We enjoy this frightful nostalgia and learning about how it all connects, but Darklings know we're also passionate about healing and growing from what we learn. If you dare to do the same, head to betterhelp.com/prettydark. There you can answer a few questions, and BetterHelp will match you to a professional who has years of experience helping people like us. Plus, you can switch therapists at any time, so you're sure to find the right connection. Millennials are ditching the stigma and owning our mental health. And with BetterHelp, you can build a relationship with a professional all from the comfort of your own home, just how we like it. Visit betterhelp.com/prettydark or choose That's Pretty Dark podcast during sign up and enjoy 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/prettydark.
You're listening to That's Pretty Dark,
The podcast where we talk about all the entertainment that scared us as children
and still haunts us as adults. So grab your flashlight and join us as we take a frightfully nostalgic look over our shoulders
and under our beds
and in our closets.
And together we'll realize, whoa, that's pretty dark.
So you remember that electrician I had in my house recently I was telling you all about? He was like a real character. He was funny, very talkative.
I think everyone that you have in your house is a real character, but
I do end up having stories about most people in my house. This one takes the cake. I ended up having to call the office, and the lady tells me that he doesn't work there anymore.
Oh.
Because he's on the run from the law.
So you had an outlaw in your midst?
And yeah, apparently.
Darn tootin'.
And if he ever shows back up, he's going to be arrested, is what she said. I don't know what he did. All I know is that he was in my house for a day.
Conversing with your family and
hanging
stuff.
out with my family, with my partner, her 6-year-old, and at the time, our 5-week-old. And all I can think now is I'm just so glad he didn't steal any of our bicycles. That would have been horrible.
Yeah, the worst possible outcome.
Worst case
Because that's like part of you, you know? Your bicycle.
It's like losing part of your body. I know.
It's like losing an organ.
Losing a member of your family. It's almost like he would have kidnapped one of our bicycle children. So I had to follow that up and tell you what happened. That's what I've had going on, other than just being sleep deprived and being a dad. That's it. What have you been doing in our brief hiatus that we've had?
What have I been doing
hiatus.
with our slight little hiatus? I had another surgery because you guys know how much I love surgeries.
You do love getting them. You get them all the time.
I get them all the time just for fun.
The more invasive, the better.
Closer to my core.
This is the most intimate surgeries you can imagine.
That's what I liked best.
At least buy me dinner first.
Wouldn't you know it? Last night I went out to our bar, like our local bar that's our favorite, for the first time in I truly don't know how long. I walk into the bar and I walk by a table and I catch eyes with this older lady. And I'm like, I know her. Like, I know her, but why can't I place her? This is really weird.
Yeah.
She's not a coworker. And I'm just like rifling through my Rolodex brain thinking like, what's going on? How do I know this lady? I make it to a table, sit down and look up at Logan, and I realize this is my oncologist at the bar.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, of all people to see, the lady that was just operating on me is now across from me at the bar. So yeah, very weird.
And she's like, shouldn't you be home resting, young lady?
Yeah, I was like, am I in trouble? Like, I don't think I'm supposed to be here. It was very weird, but hey,
man,
that's going to happen to somebody.
So hey, did you buy her a drink, or did you make her buy you a drink?
I didn't buy her a drink. She was gone by the time I got back up. Like when I turned around, I was like, once I worked up the nerve to be like, I could say something, that would be fine. And then when I tried to do that, she was gone. So
she could tell you were going to come over and talk to her. So she was like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I guess so.
Never mix pleasure in business, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know how much business or pleasure was involved in any of the above, but...
Well, we are going to get into both pleasure and business this evening on our show. That's Pretty Dark Podcast. My name is Christian Mott.
My name is Kaylin Andrews.
And it feels like we're doing this for the first time because it's been a couple months.
But you know what they say about recording a podcast? It's kind of like riding a bicycle.
And you should never do either one drunk.
And you're clearly saying that do as you say, not as you do, for sure.
So tonight, we gather around the campfire once again for a tale so revered by darklings everywhere that many consider it not only one of the best episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark, but also one of the most mature, adult-oriented stories in the series. Not because of anything inappropriate, but just because of how damn emotionally intelligent it is.
And that good old deep-seated existentialism.
Yes, absolutely. With its heavier themes of loss and grief and crippling guilt, juxtaposed with more hopeful themes, like the immortality of friendship and guardian angels, and maybe, just maybe, that death itself isn't a ravenous beast of chaos with a bottomless stomach. This is Season 2, Episode 10, The Tale of the Shiny Red Bicycle.
Back in business, baby. You heard it here first.
We're getting the band back together.
Probably, I don't know, Instagram first.
One person on Reddit said this one should have been labeled a very special episode. But all the Pretty Dark episodes that we bring to the table could have, probably should have been very special episodes for one reason or another. And that's why we do this show.
That's right.
The Shiny Red Bicycle aired on August 28th, 1993. And despite the typically lackluster IMDb summary that Mike Buckley is haunted by the ghost of Ricky Haggerty, his friend who drowned, and his old bike, we know there's oh so much more to the emotional complexity of this pretty dark tale. See, ever since he bore witness to the death of his childhood best friend, Mike Buckley has been tormented over the guilt of failing to save Ricky Haggerty's life. 5 years later, the nightmares persist and even begin to spill out into his reality, as Mike's trauma manifests itself as the apparition of Ricky's ghost, returned from his watery grave to deliver not vengeance, but a warning that history is on the verge of repeating itself.
This one, pretty much from the first moment around the Midnight Society campfire, but then the first moments in the story, it feels like it.
I was actually going to say.
This is just like Stephen King made over.
Down to the names of the characters.
Yeah.
Everything has this like heightened element of like importance and like persistence to it and intensity. It feels like a Stephen King story. You're right.
Very much.
I think that's why it like stood out to me throughout the years and why it's like continued to be my favorite. I know why it was my favorite when I was a kid. I'm going to get to that, but it's still one of my favorites. And I think it's for that reason.
Yeah.
Not least of all because Stephen King loves to throw so much emotional complexity at his horror, and that's what makes his stuff so good.
Well, we were just talking about all of this with who we can now say is our friend, Mr. DJ McHale.
DJ McHale. If you ask me, The Shiny Red Bicycle isn't simply a tale about the death of one kid's best friend, or the ensuing guilt that comes from being unable to save that friend's life. It's really much more about the death of childhood itself, the death of innocence, and how that loss both should and shouldn't affect us, especially when it comes to the preservation of childhood and innocence for the next generation. I'm not going to get into generational trauma on this one, but I think this episode can serve as a profound metaphor for that if you really wanted to.
Most things we cover can do exactly that. But I think that there is like that moment for all of us, like when you cross over, kind of, if you, to use a baby genius's metaphor.
When your childhood dies?
Yeah, we all have that moment when your childhood dies, like when you recognize the sharp, hard line between life and death or whatever it is. There's a moment when you feel it and you can't go backward. You can't cross the line in the other direction.
It's the point of no return.
Exactly.
Right. There's no going back. It's your St. Paul moment. And I honestly feel like that's a common thread that's woven through Stephen King's work. There is often that just gut-wrenching moment where you go, I can never be a kid again. You
can't unknow this thing that's been revealed to you.
Irreparable damage to my youth.
Labyrinth does that kind of too, sort of.
God.
You've just reached a plateau, like a new level. You've leveled up in a way that it can't be undone.
So many things we've covered have talked about this, whether or not they meant to.
This moment can either ground you in reality or it can be the cause of like maladaptive coping and like things that you're because you're trying so hard to undo it or redo it or get it right. It can really shape the way that the rest of your life goes if it doesn't happen in a safe, grounded way like it didn't for our friend with the shiny red bicycle.
I mean, yeah, this is the story of Mike Buckley. This episode was written by Cassandra Schofhausen, who also wrote The Tale of the Magician's Assistant, which is coming up pretty soon for us. She's most well known for her work on Captain Planet and the Planeteers, for which she wrote 65 episodes and produced 26. She also produced 26 episodes of Young Robin Hood, 27 episodes of The Busy World of Richard Scarry, 52 episodes of Mona the Vampire, and 94 episodes of Arthur.
Wow, that's a lot of Arthur.
Yeah.
For any one person.
And this episode was directed by David Winning, whose work we are familiar with, thanks to 2 previous episodes, Locker 22 and Dream Machine.
Yeah, with those episodes being his kind of legacy and moving into this, he really dealt a lot with the life and death sort of idea.
Yeah, life and death and everything in between. When this episode begins, 4 members of the Midnight Society toast marshmallows on the fire while waiting for Kristen and David, who are late.
I think that's them now.
Seems like somebody's always running late these days. And if this were our Midnight Society, that somebody would always be me. But hopefully there will always be a Gary around to give me a few more minutes.
Hey, I try.
You're the only, but you're all of them. You're Gary. You're all the others. You give me the grief. You give me the forgiveness. Although, historically, he's not the most forgiving.
No, he's really not.
Sorry we're late.
Hey, I heard about your bike getting stolen. You okay?
Yeah, well, what can you do?
And perhaps that's why they're running late. Maybe they all ride their bikes to the woods each night. And Kristen was just kind enough to forego her convenience and walk with him.
We mention that sometimes, and they address it, like how important a bicycle was to a child of the 90s.
The others expressed their condolences, commiserating over the loss of one of the purest tokens of childhood, a kid's very own bicycle.
How can anyone steal a bike?
Yeah, it's like ripping off a part of somebody.
Kind of dramatic, aren't you, Gare?
And this makes me think of Chief Hopper in Stranger Things, when they discover the abandoned bicycle of the recently vanished Will Byers.
Yep.
Hopper says something like, he wouldn't abandon this because these bikes are like Cadillacs to those kids.
Yep.
That line's always stuck with me because it doesn't just suggest that those kids all had really dope bicycles.
No.
But it also expresses in one breath what the bicycle used to represent for kids in the suburbs back in the 80s and 90s, present company included.
Yep.
It was our primary means of transportation that had nothing to do with our parents. Therefore, it was freedom. It was adventure manifest, unspoken permission to travel as far away from your home as your legs could take you. And no matter how tired you were as the streetlights came on, chances were you could still make it home in time for dinner. My sister and I used to joke that we were in a bicycle gang growing up. All of our friends in the neighborhood had bicycles, and our neighborhood was surrounded by 3 other neighborhoods on pretty much all sides. So we could hop ditches and fences and cut through backyards and woods and go make new friends in far off places. And although we were probably never more than a mile away from our houses, our bikes made us feel infinite. And that's why this episode made one of the biggest impressions on me as a kid, because of how much my bike meant to me and the bike culture that, we in the neighborhood had.
Yeah.
Mine was this blue little trick bike with spokes on the back wheel, but the only tricks I ever did were hopping curbs and making skid marks. And I was so sad the year I finally grew out of the bike because we had a lot of bike races back in those days, and my claim to fame was always having the fastest bike of all the 4 neighborhoods.
Wow.
So
impressive.
Looking back, having my bike stolen wouldn't have been just like losing part of my body. If I couldn't go riding off into the bright summertime with the rest of the neighborhood bike gang, it would have been like losing part of my childhood. And I think that's one of the points being made with this episode.
Yeah.
In multiple ways.
Part of your identity.
Right.
It's that independence. It's that individuation.
Who you were as a kid, yeah. Your reputation sometimes was your bicycle.
It's your first kind of leap into an independent life away from your family of origin.
I thought about that. It really ticked me off that someone could take something that was so important to me. Because once you have the right bike, it's yours forever, no matter who has it.
It's kind of a weird way to put it, but
It is.
the sentiment is there. We used to pretend like our bikes were horses.
Oh, yeah?
Me and my sister and Paige, our neighbor across the street, who listens sometimes. Hey, Paige. And yeah, we would pretend they were horses. You never popped wheelies,
That's
though?
fun. I mean, yeah, sometimes, but never like the way you see people doing like professionally.
Well,
So,
yeah, no, of course not. The neighbor boys had those ramps, and we were explicitly not allowed to use the ramps,
right.
which was a great decision on my parents'
Yeah,
part.
we just used different hills in people's yards.
And I mean, I remember early on it being a very big deal that we needed to wear a helmet.
Mhm.
And then gradually that kind of got lax.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird when I think back on that my mom didn't stay really strict about a bike helmet because of all the things that I did, all the daring stunts and adventures that I would have done as a kid. Probably riding my bike was one of the more dangerous things we were actually doing.
Riding a bike is
at the
very
time.
dangerous, actually.
Mhm.
We're getting old. So losing his bike is not a total loss because David repurposed the tragedy and channeled that negative energy into something creative by coming up with a new story,
Yeah.
which is something I had to learn how to do back in the day.
Turning his misfortune and trauma into story.
Channel those big bad feelings into writing.
Yep.
That
Don't we
was
all?
the challenge of my 20s.
Me too.
Let me tell you.
For sure.
It's about this kid and his bike. A bike that meant so much to him that he took it everywhere he went, including his own grave.
Including his own grave.
Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society. I call this story The Tale of the Shiny Red Bicycle.
And you said it was a funny way for him to phrase that previous line of dialogue, and I agree that the whole setup for this story sounds like he's going to tell a very different kind of story.
Mm-hmm.
They could have just as easily been called The Romance of Certain Old Bicycles. As a Henry James reference for anyone who doesn't know.
Yeah.
Go look up his Romance of Certain Old Clothes.
Haven't thought about that in a long time.
And when the story begins, Mike Buckley is having a bad dream. Only we don't know it yet. And it's not just a bad dream, but a bad memory. The memory of the death of his childhood best friend. Because Mike, to his parents' dismay, has a very severe case of unacknowledged PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
We see young Mike and his best friend Ricky Haggerty racing through town on their bicycles, speeding across a small dam and careening down the side of a spillway that connects what appears to be a canal or a reservoir with a much larger river downstream. They race past a local waterworks employee who performs a routine opening of the spillway's floodgate beneath the dam. And we know it's routine because he checks his watch to make sure it's the correct hour of the day.
I laughed at that.
So he cranks open the floodgate, which sends, well, a flood of water rushing down through the spillway. And meanwhile, Ricky wins the bike race at one of the next few bridges down, where the boys get to talking about how excited they are for the upcoming, fishing season.
Just a couple more weeks. I'm psyched.
Yeah, my dad's thinking of bought my reel and cleaning it this weekend.
Maybe this year I'll teach you how to catch a bass.
Yeah, right. Maybe you should learn how to bait your hook and then bring it through your finger.
Now, I had to look into this because I didn't think there was an official fishing season as opposed to something like deer season.
There definitely are in different places and for different fish.
I was going to say, well, there technically isn't a fish season that it's like illegal to
The
fish
waters are open now.
outside of. Yeah, it's
No,
not like
no.
that. But yeah, like you
It's
said.
the breeding cycles of different fish and the times of
Right.
year, and anybody who's played Animal Crossing knows exactly what we're talking about.
So everybody knows this, but me,
Stardew
right?
Valley.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's entirely dependent on where you live and what kind of fish you want to catch. Nevertheless, the boys are too excited to notice just how old and rickety this bridge is. The railing comes loose under Ricky's weight, and he loses his balance. First, his shiny red bicycle falls in, vanishing into the raging waters below. Mike catches Ricky's arm when he falls, but he isn't strong enough to pull him up.
I got you! Hold on, Ricky! Hold on!
Horrifying.
Soon, Ricky slips free and falls into the water. We don't see it happen, of course, but if it's anything like that slow motion shot of the bike disappearing into the white foam, then I can only imagine how haunting Mike's nightmares actually are. It's enough to give a kid chills.
Yeah. I mean, I knew that they were going to do it. Obviously, you see it coming, but it's still kind of jarring to remember this is a kid's show that we were watching as kids, and this kid just died kind of in front of us. Is this the first time we see a kid die on the show. I mean, no, we're not literally seeing him die, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
a kid on the show. Like we see like in Jake and the Leprechaun, you said the Banshee dies there.
Yeah, he dies there, but it's not a kid. In Dark Music, the bully gets eaten by
The Thing.
the cellar
Monster.
thing. Whatever.
Entity.
We couldn't discover.
Jinn, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Domovoy.
But then again, I mean, you know, that's just kind of implied. It isn't explicitly said so-and-so died. Yeah, I can't remember his name
Yeah,
now.
that's true. I mean, I guess this is the first...
You know what I mean? This is the first time I can remember them saying...
confirmed death.
X person died
Yeah.
this day. Like, we saw the death. I don't know. It just feels way heavier and more significant. Like, Locker 22, you know, the threat is there. Like, and we hear that in the past she had died. But not only do they write that within the episode and fix that whole explosion and prevent it from happening, but it isn't immediate because it's in the past. We have a lot of distance from that character.
This is in the past, but we still see it happen on screen, technically.
Right. It's just the most immediate to me that I can think of now.
This is the most immediate in-your-face example of a kid dying.
But again, we're a little bit rusty, Darklings.
Like an old bicycle. But I think for that reason, it being so extreme and intense and in your face, for years, when I thought of Are You Afraid of the Dark, I saw two things in my mind. The frozen ghost standing out in the darkness.
I'm cold.
And this spillway. These images are burned into my own memories from childhood. And watching it again as an adult, I'm struck by the realism of this concept. That shot inside the spillway as the water rushes toward the camera, even now, when that pops up on the screen, it fills me with dread. Just this intense suspense and anxiety.
Because you know how dangerous it is and that it did take the life of a child.
Almost two, yeah.
God. And it feels weird to be recording this now with the Camp Mystic tragedy that just happened in Texas. And like,
oh my God, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Man, flooding is just, it's freaky.
It absolutely is.
And it can happen in kind of unpredictable ways. Unfortunately, this was so timed and like they're, you know, it was routine maintenance and you're ready for it. But like the kids didn't know. And one wrong move, one rusty railing or whatever it was, and tragedy.
But to address the realism further, one person on Reddit said, it's just hard to buy that kids are drowning in this little riverbed because some jerk off turns a switch and makes it into the river wild for some reason. Okay, so if you find yourself wondering what the hell is happening here or blaming the employee for just doing his job, allow me to explain. Like you said, routine maintenance. It's exactly what it is. In whatever small town these characters live in, there are at least two major bodies of water. One is the canal or the reservoir that runs through town, which is the one that runs alongside the road where we see Mike and Ricky riding their bikes. And the other much larger body is a river that likely borders the town on one side. This one actually has a name, Gower River. And no, there's no Gower River out there that I could find, but it's just one of those things that makes this story feel like a Stephen King story. The canal is dammed to keep a certain amount of water in, but at the same time, they can't risk the canal getting so full that it overflows and floods the town. So to solve this issue, there's an employee of either the dam company or the local waterworks who has to come to the dam once a day to crank open the floodgate of the spillway, which allows a certain amount of canal water to empty out down the spillway to Gower River. And yes, I've done my research, and I also learned that there are multiple types of spillways that fit into one of two categories: controlled and uncontrolled.
So glad we can learn about this here together today. Wouldn't be That's Pretty Dark without it.
The uncontrolled types are like the glory holes in the middle of lakes that you see those pictures of. And you ever seen that? You should look it up. Look it up.
I don't think that
but
you should
be
Google
careful
glory hole. Just
with
say
your phrasing. Make sure you include like lake glory hole, not like bathroom glory hole.
Are you talking about like a geyser or?
No, that's a different thing entirely.
Yeah. I mean, I would
These
think
are
so.
man-made to keep lakes from overflowing.
I see.
So they
It's
build
like a
in-
drain in a bathtub.
It's like a drain in a bathtub.
All right.
As soon as the water rises to a certain level, the water spills into the glory hole. I'm not making this up. It's literally called a glory hole. Look it up, I dare you.
He researched it today, y'all. That's how I know he's not.
That's not true. I did this last night.
Oh, okay.
At 1 a.m.
You were looking at glory holes at 1 a.m. last night?
Someone's got to pass the time. But this one in particular is a controlled spillway, but it's more specifically a stepped spillway, which are typically used with flood control dams. The reason they want the water to travel down those multiple layers of roller compacted concrete that look like large steps is that it reduces the kinetic energy of the flow. Am I right, ladies? In other words, it slows the current down. And I'm not entirely sure why this matters, but it might have something to do with increasing dissolved oxygen levels downstream of the dam, or perhaps volatile organic compound removal. Either way, it 100% eliminates the need for a stilling basin, and any day I can go without a stilling basin is a good day.
Oh yeah, good day for me, absolutely. All I'm picturing as you're describing all of this water science is, for some reason, Willy Wonka's chocolate river, and they're talking about churning the chocolate.
I'm surprised he wasn't talking about a stepped spillway and kinetic energy and volatile organic
It's probably what he needed,
removal.
Honestly. I mean, I would prefer my chocolate be free of volatile organic compounds.
Absolutely.
You know?
That's like waste from like...
Yeah, that's like waste.
You don't want that.
Don't want that in our chocolate. Or in our swimming holes. Or
not our glory
holes.
Keep the waste out of the glory. And yes, I know you're wondering, multiple people have died in spillways, but they've been either boating or swimming accidents, usually after being sucked into the spillway by a strong current. I couldn't find any evidence of a scenario like this one, let alone any ghost stories, so I'm sorry to disappoint.
Well, it's unfortunate that it is so realistic. But I think about it in terms of like all the flooding that we've had recently and all the climate change and the historic levels of just natural disasters that we're seeing and facing. And the threat of drowning, I've never been particularly afraid of it in the places that I've lived. But as time goes on and geography shifts and changes with the changing climate, you know, it's going to be more of a threat to everyone, everywhere.
Increasingly so. Yeah. But it's just about this time that young Mike loses his grip on Ricky's arm, that the grown-up Mike, about 5 years later, jolts awake from his nightmare in the middle of the night, drenched in a cold sweat. And just in case we aren't quite sure what's happening here, his little brother, Ben, comes back to their shared bedroom
for some exposition
with a glass of water and says,
"You're having another bad dream."
So he wasn't just having a bad dream, he was having another one. So this is a common scene in the Buckley household, and apparently a tired one, no pun intended, as we discover at breakfast the next morning.
Looks like someone's gonna fall asleep in his corn wackies.
Corn wackies.
Ben rats out his big bro about the dream, and his parents are both immediately frustrated with Mike.
Not another one.
Oh, Mike.
Like, as Mike says,
You guys say that like I can do something about it.
and of course they think he can.
Well, for one thing, you could stop blaming yourself for Ricky's death.
This is a very outdated stance on post-traumatic stress.
While it would absolutely do wonders for Mike to stop blaming himself, their cold indifference about Ricky's death and their frustration with Mike's PTSD only makes things worse for him.
Why can't you just get over the fact that your best friend died in your arms 5 years ago? You teenager, you. All your teenage angst.
Yeah, it's a lot. At its most basic level, healing from trauma begins when you're able to start talking about the experience without fear, judgment, or criticism. And his parents' hearts might be in the right place, but the reality is they're actually suffocating him further.
You guys know us here and how much we talk about our trauma, both related and unrelated to the topics that we cover, because we know how important that is and how healing it is. And we get emails, which please continue to send them. We get emails all the time from Darklings who say similar things about how they grew up in similar ways or had similar experiences. And part of what we care so much about doing here is having that community, having that space where we're all able to voice things safely, creating more safety for ourselves than we've had before. And yeah, it's kind of framed like he is the problem. Like he keeps bringing it up. If he would stop talking about it, maybe the nightmares would go away. Like there's just this guesswork kind of element to like, you're letting yourself live in it. Therefore, of course you're having nightmares about it. No, it's because he hasn't processed it. That's what PTSD is. They won't allow him to process it.
It's the opposite. Yeah.
And of course, we don't know how they handled it initially. We don't know what kind of response they had when it first occurred and how much they've lost that compassion over time. But I feel like even 5 years later isn't that long, especially when it's been such a huge piece of his life. He's so young.
Part of his development, like his brain development is surrounded by the death of his best friend. Like, and it also stood out to me that, they're kind of acting like, oh, you just keep making this a thing. He was trying to like dismiss it himself.
Yeah.
He wasn't trying to talk about it. They forced him to.
And he was probably trying not to because he's been put in this position over and over.
Exactly.
He's learned it's not a safe place to talk about it.
Right. Yeah, so why would you? So if you guys are out there, if you guys think you can't talk about something because somebody routinely shuts you down when you try to, that's not right. You got to find somebody to talk to. That's not love.
We're looking at this from 2025 and we recognize that. And obviously all of us are far more like trauma informed and more aware of that kind of thing, whether or not you even try to be, whether or not you're in therapy or whether or not it's something that you're pursuing. I just think it's way more in trending. Like it's just online. Pop psychology is more popular. Like even if you don't seek that kind of stuff out, even if you're not trying to heal your own stuff, you're still hearing bits and pieces of that in media and around you everywhere. And we just have to remember that was not the case in the 90s. The general consensus was bottle that shit, put it away, hope it doesn't come back to bite you. Yeah. And it is routinely coming back to bite him, and they just don't have the resources or their own knowledge to help him.
I think that's maybe one of the points of the writing and like framing his family life and his parents like that, because the writer Cassandra, maybe that's how she felt.
Yeah, maybe she was dismissed. Maybe
she felt dismissed and silenced by someone close in her life, or who knows where it came from.
And it's we're dogging this family, but this is the standard.
That may have been the point.
Yeah, I don't know if the perspective was there that they wanted to like bring that awareness, but I mean it's there now, and it's really stark now. You know what I mean? It's a very stark contrast to how not to handle it when your kid starts having nightmares related to PTSD about a traumatic event in their life.
Isn't that the beauty of bad parenting, is we can always look at the examples of what not to do.
Plenty of them in 90s media.
Do the opposite.
Plenty of them.
If my life were a TV show.
But to that point, we have to also think about the conversation we were just having with DJ, where, again, what's the first thing that he wanted to do in all of these stories is remove the parents as a resource. That was, I'm sure, done intentionally and systematically as he said it was. Right. It's just in this case, it's a little more jarring because we would hope or expect there to be more compassion when he's sitting at the table with them.
The parents are too understanding. Make them less understanding. Rule them out.
Because, like TJ was saying, if his parents did sit there and help him walk through it, or were more understanding, he would just be healed, and there would be no ghosts and there would be no episode.
He'd be okay.
Which is probably what all of you Darklings have been yelling at us for the past few minutes.
Funny how that works.
If we want the ghosts to appear, we have to stay unhealed for a little while. If you want
the ghosts, you got to keep the crippling mental illness. That's how I keep my ghosts around.
Just ask Drop Dead Fred.
Yeah. TV Tropes calls this anger born of worry, which usually takes the form of that classic, like, I'm so glad you're okay, but if you ever put yourself in danger again, I'm going to kill you.
Yep.
But I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem like his parents are as worried about him as they are just tired of hearing about it, like we've been saying.
Exasperation.
They say they loved Ricky like their own son, but that just makes me think about how Ricky was somebody's son.
Yeah.
And I wonder if Mike's parents would say anything different if Ricky's parents were in the room with them having breakfast. They don't realize that it could have just as easily been Mike who fell to his death that day.
That's the other thing that I kept thinking. Like, you knew this kid. Are you not also grieving?
Right.
Are you not also affected by this tragedy?
It
like,
could have been
why
your
aren't
kid.
you having nightmares, Mom?
The thing is, it could have been your kid, and it might very well be your kid in like a day.
Tomorrow.
Like tomorrow morning.
Right.
This very same thing could happen to your own son.
That was more my question. Like, why are they not also equally haunted by this thing?
I would
And then the whole family can be haunted by ghosts, you know? They all have PTSD.
Right. You know, that's how you bring the family together in 2025. Everybody should be haunted together by the same ghost.
Collective haunting by the same trauma.
You know, that team building exercise, the weekend seance.
Yeah, these kind of stories are really going to change shape, I think, in the next few decades, but they'll still be here because we still psychologically torture ourselves, whether we do it with friends and family or on an island.
It's fun alone. It's fun in a group. Older Mike is played by Matthew Edison. He acted in a 1999 film with Gene Wilder called Murder in a Small Town.
Yeah, okay.
He's continued working through the decades, appearing in one episode of The Umbrella Academy as Dr. Monkton and 10 episodes of The Boys as Cameron Coleman. So if you watch The Boys, you might know him.
Wow.
Mike's younger brother, Ben, is played by Jameson Boulanger. He voiced a character in one episode of Tales from the Crypt Keeper. He acted in the 1996 film Frankenstein and Me. He did 23 episodes of a Canadian coming-of-age show called My Hometown.
Oh.
And he starred in 13 episodes of a paranormal mystery show called 11 Somerset.
Nice.
And I'm really curious about that. I want to watch it.
Me too.
Mike's dad, Leonard, is played by Mike Camacho.
Leonard.
We've met him before in Nightly Neighbors. He was the guy who delivered those refrigerators to the
Nice.
Bronze house.
Yeah, the big boxes.
The big boxes. Mike's mother, Ruth, is played by Pauline Little, who played Aunt Dottie in The Lonely Ghost.
Hey.
And she goes on to play the librarian in Prisoner's Past. And fun fact, Mark and Pauline are married in real life.
Wow.
That's the second couple that have both starred in the show.
Maybe.
Because Dr. Vink and then his wife played the woman
from
Twisted Claw.
But this is the first time they're in an episode together, maybe.
Together, right.
That's fun.
Right.
That's really fun.
And while we're at it, Ricky Haggerty is played by Benjamin Sherinian. This is one of only 3 credits on his IMDb, although his biography describes him as a passionate filmmaker with a unique talent for bringing ideas to life through innovative visual techniques.
That's real buzzwordy.
He must be doing something out there, but this is all I can find. Arriving at school while talking with his friend, who is played by an actor named Jamie Ellman, Mike thinks he sees Ricky's shiny red bicycle parked at the school bike rack. It stands out perfectly well against all the other black and silver and white bikes, and his friend snaps him out of his trance. And Mike realizes it's not Ricky's old bike at all, but someone else's. It's not red, but green. It's not even the same style of bike. And speaking of, there are 5 different bikes used for Ricky's bike in this episode. Apparently a different one in each scene.
Oh, okay, like 5 prop bikes. They had 5 shiny red bicycles.
I suppose. I mean, it just says that every scene has a different bicycle. So
did somebody go like scene by scene and look at the model of the bike? Because I mean,
you guys go look.
People
I don't know.
That have that specific knowledge, I mean, props to you.
Yeah.
More power.
I don't know why, but I wish we'd asked DJ. I wish I knew that. And could have asked him.
Looks like the same bike to me.
Looked the same to me. My question is this the first time we've had like a ghostly object where the ghostly apparition is an object?
There was the room with the music box in
Whispering Walls. Okay.
All that stuff was imagined. The snake.
So do you think that music box wasn't actually there?
Yeah, I don't think any of that was there.
Okay.
Because it was different. Remember, the room was empty when they went back to it.
Okay, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I dig it. I just was thinking really hard about
We're cataloging everything we possibly can about this show as we go, but we definitely forget a lot of stuff.
I was definitely trying to like wrap my head around the idea of like a ghost bicycle. And I looked for ghost stories involving bikes or phantom cyclists of some nature. And all there really is out there is fiction stories. So I didn't want to steal somebody else's, thunder and tell their story. But I can say that I found something called ghost bikes. And I feel like you've talked about this on the show before, and I cannot remember, or if this is just a conversation we've had. But ghost bikes are the white painted bikes that are there as memorials for cyclists who died on their bikes. It's like any roadside memorial for a death on the road. It's the death of a cyclist.
I get chills every time I see anything like that. But yeah, in the case of a ghost bike, it's specifically for a cyclist.
They're meant to be jarring.
Absolutely, because it's part of a campaign, it's part of awareness. If a cyclist died here,
it's an awareness campaign.
Right. If a cyclist died here, that means there was a motorist that was not sharing the road appropriately.
Exactly, because that is like, I don't know the stats on that, but it's predominantly motorists who cause the death of cyclists, often intentionally.
Oh, that's sick.
People will open their doors to hit cyclists
that's
all
insane.
the time because they don't want to share the road and they're pissed off that
the cyclists
want to use the road and they think it's an inconvenience.
So it's almost like a road rage thing, I guess.
It's a version of road rage, yes.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being so callous that like you would rather kill someone than like have them get in your way of getting to McDonald's? Like,
talk to any cyclist and they'll tell you stories of being buzzed by vehicles on purpose. Doors opened on purpose.
Look twice for bicycles and motorcycles.
Absolutely.
And just don't be an asshole about it.
Don't be a
why
dick.
is getting somewhere 30 seconds sooner that important to you?
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't fathom.
It really bothers me. But yes, that is the only search results I got for ghost bikes or phantom cyclists. And I'm definitely interested if anybody out there actually has any ghost stories where they thought they saw a phantom cyclist or you thought you saw something to do with the bike. Or if a bike has been haunting you, reach out.
Let us know about your haunted bike.
Do you have a dead childhood best friend?
Your bike is haunted, or if you are haunted by a bike, either one will work.
Well, okay, there's a lot of stories about haunted bikes, like specifically like
a bell dinging.
like possessed bicycles. It's not the same thing. It's not what I'm looking for. I was looking for ghost bikes.
Pardon.
But
me.
No, I do want to hear about your possessed bicycles. If you have a haunted object bicycle, I want to hear about it.
Okay. It's just a different kind of story.
It's just a different kind of story.
And so, with only months to go,
In class, Mike is totally zoning out, and after seeing his dead best friend's lost bicycle, I can't blame him. But the teacher, Mrs. Westwood, completely stops her lecture to embarrass him in front of the entire class.
ground control to Michael Buckley. Not quite. We're not covering I or until next semester. Nice try, though.
I had teachers who would do this, so it's not really that far-fetched, but I don't understand the point.
I think some teachers use it as like a disciplinary tactic.
Right.
Like that'll teach him to zone out in class again. That'll teach him to pay attention.
But like if you notice a student not paying attention,
there's probably a reason.
Yeah, could be. But if you interrupt yourself to make fun of them, then you can't blame them for making you stop.
Right.
You chose to stop.
You've now distracted the whole class as well.
Now you've lost everyone's attention.
Right.
Because
versus just the one kid.
Decided to pick on the one kid. Right.
Hey, teachers are amazing. You're doing the hardest job I can't imagine. Thank you. Hats off to all teachers out there. You rock.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not I'm not shitting on teachers. They should
I know
be
you're
paid
not.
more.
This is just another reminder to me about how hard a teacher's job actually is and how many like micro decisions that they have to make like that all day, every day.
No, it is very hard. Then again, he wasn't disrupting class.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't doing anything to anyone. He wasn't inhibiting anybody's
No, I think
education.
this teacher did a bad job. I'm not
She did a shitty thing.
I agree.
And I'm just saying. But
I agree.
I will say to reel us back in, it's a fishing pun.
Nice.
To reel us back in, I did appreciate that the two astronauts mentioned before she so rudely interrupted herself were Michael Collins and Buzz Aldrin.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody knows that Neil Armstrong was the first man on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And many will remember that Buzz was the second. But just about everybody forgets about Michael Collins.
Yep.
Just because he didn't set foot on the moon. He was still part of the Apollo 11 mission. He just had to remain in orbit so that the other two guys could make it back to the shuttle.
Could have that moment.
And live to talk about it.
Small step for man.
Giant leap for Michael Collins. Mrs. Westwood, who was played by Joanna Noyes, who voiced Grandma Thora Reed in 90 episodes of Arthur.
Whoa. As soon as you said Thora Reed, I was like, Grandma. Thora.
She proceeds to make a ridiculous comment about having her in-laws over for dinner last night.
Maybe you're having a bad day. But I had my in-laws over for dinner last night, and needless to say, I need you to cut me a little slack. Okay?
That's a little bit of humor for the parents.
Yeah.
And now for us, who can totally relate.
Like basically like, don't test me.
You better cut me some slack,
I've been
kid.
dealing with my in-laws, and the kids are like, what's an in-law?
They'll find out. They'll know.
Back to the moon.
And just as she picks back up, Mike sees Ricky's ghost.
Keep his brother's policies in check
Pale,
if he were to become president.
wet,
However, his
and
assassination
bedraggled,
in 1969.
standing in the doorway of the classroom.
It's Ricky.
And yes, this is 1000% a reference to the classroom scene in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Mm-hmm.
The difference being that Ricky isn't wrapped in a plastic body bag or covered in blood.
Yeah.
Because this is a kid's show.
It was quite familiar when I saw it, but I assumed it was from seeing this before. But you're right. It was probably Nightmare on Elm Street.
Because Ricky is calling out Mike's name exactly like Tina calls out Nancy's name.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And Mike causes a scene, actually disrupting class this time by standing up and knocking over desks as he backs away from Ricky's ghost. And he's promptly sent to the school nurse, played by Amanda Strawn.
She was great.
Who goes on to play Mrs. Robinson in The Tale of the Chameleons
Tia and
in
Tamara.
season 5, and Emily's mother in The Tale of the Night Nurse in season 7.
Another nurse.
And The Tale of the Chameleons haunted me for years.
Yeah.
Who's Ricky?
What?
Who is Ricky? You mentioned the name Ricky in the classroom. As Westwood said, you kept repeating it. Why?
He was a friend.
Mike and the nurse talk. about what happened. And she winds up giving it to him straight. That even if he does manage to finally have the dream where he saves Ricky's life, Ricky will still be dead. This conversation is also where we learned that they never found Ricky's body, which at first I found hard to believe. But as we learn at the end of the story, there might just be a very reasonable, if not supernatural, explanation for this.
I'm not feeling too well.
I think you don't feel well because of these nightmares and lack of sleep.
The nurse decides to send Mike home for an early weekend, chalking up all the excitement to sleep deprivation related to his recurring nightmares. And this continues to give the whole thing a very Freddy Krueger vibe, but as the audience, we do have to wonder if Mike isn't just hallucinating. You ever been so tired you've seen things?
Mm-hmm.
I sure have.
I mostly have auditory hallucinations.
I do too,
Mm-hmm.
but I've seen some things as well. It's trippy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very trippy experience.
Sleep deprivation is no joke, like truly, and it doesn't take much. Like once you've lost a certain amount of sleep.
Once you've tipped over the edge of the dam into the spillway. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, ghost or not, the bombardment on Mike's mental health continues as he glances out the window in the nurse's station and once again sees Ricky's ghost and his shiny red bicycle. Both vanish, and when Mike turns around to ask if the nurse saw it too, it's not the nurse anymore. It's Ricky's ghost for the pretty effective jump scare.
Mm-hmm.
Smash cut to the car ride home with Mike and his relatively shitty dad.
This really stinks, you know? Why'd you have to take me to see Dr. McBride anyway?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe going into shock at the nurse's station and raving about seeing your dead best friend might have had something to do with it.
Thanks to the events at school, Mike has just been to see Dr. McBride, who has ordered a weekend of bed rest for Mike. And that means missing the first day of fishing season.
You know, I've never missed the first day of fishing season. Not once. Not even the year Ricky died.
And they argue about it in the car. But of course, Mike only proves his father correct when he thinks he sees Ricky's ghost riding the shiny red bicycle and insists that they run the kid down.
Yeah.
And reveal that it's not Ricky, but some random girl.
Sorry.
Who, by the way, must have never been given any lessons in stranger danger because she's little more than annoyed at being accosted in the street by a much larger, much older teenage boy and his father.
Do you know what this trope reminds me of?
What's that?
All millennials will probably sympathize, but that's done a couple different times in different things that I remember watching where they're like, oh, it's definitely this, go get him, I gotta find him, and then it turn around and it's reveal, oh, it's not them or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I just think about the Disney World episodes of Full House where DJ is missing Steve so much.
Oh my God, yeah,
she imagines him in the Indiana Jones show and jumps
back
up in the audience to scream out. She imagines him as Aladdin, which is really funny because Scott Wagner was the voice of Aladdin, which was like a whole joke that they did. But that episode where every time she thinks it's Steve, it's not, and then lo and behold, Steve does eventually show up. But
yeah,
just that idea of like I'm hallucinating, but I'm so sure it's this person, and you get that like intense chase moment and then reveal, never mind, reveal, never mind, kind of like over and over again.
I just think it's so funny how she like doesn't react.
Yeah,
just like, ew. Why?
I'd be pretty freaked out if I was her. Like, leave me alone, stranger danger. Yeah, I got places to be.
I mean, as soon as the car screeched to a halt, I've been booking it to the front door.
Mm-hmm.
Ruth, please, enough with the thermometer. The poor kid's been poked and prodded enough for one day. The doctor says he just needs some rest.
Regardless of whatever else is going on in the world, it's now Friday evening, the best night of the week. And it's a real shame Mike can't appreciate this gift for what it is. Getting to go home early on a Friday for a long weekend of lazing around in bed is a primo opportunity to catch some really fantastic 90s television. I'd kill to go back and sit through those commercials.
You can still find them on YouTube.
But Mike had to go and get himself fucking haunted. Yeah, no, there's a lot of like 90s commercials on YouTube. You can just go watch like an hour and a half of 90s commercials.
Yeah. The bumpers take you back.
And not only is it a Friday evening, but Mike's parents are heading out to get a movie.
They're going to get a movie.
They're going out to rent a VHS tape to put into their VCR.
The concept, the event, the outing that it was to go get a movie. I lived for it.
Too.
I lived, and we talk about it all the time, but like I lived, and talking about my neighbor Paige again. Either her parents would bring me and my sister, or we would bring Paige. We would go up to the Blockbuster, which was on the corner of the shopping center that was right outside of our neighborhood. and wander that Blockbuster. And I would usually rent the same few movies over and over again.
That's
but
what I did too.
Like just the event of doing that, and then like ask for candy, and usually they would say no. But my parents were pretty nice about getting us stuff we wanted.
Sometimes
so
they said yes.
We got candy as well. Yeah, what a time to be alive.
They're gonna watch that on their big screen TV in their living room.
It's interesting too because we talk about how like
family movie night.
We watched a lot of these things in a silo. It was us and our family and our VHS. And did anybody else watch this? And that's a huge part of our show and brand and everything else. But we also kind of exchanged this streaming reality of streaming everything for that social event of going to get a movie, seeing other people at Blockbuster. Hey, did you like somebody's returning this movie? Hey, what did you think of that one? You know, like a library, just that kind of social exchange about media. And Blockbuster was a place for that to happen. And it doesn't anymore. Not like that. It's all online now, and it's
not like that.
It's not the same. Letterboxed, maybe the closest thing we've got. And that's just a bunch of armchair warriors.
We made a deal with the devil, didn't we?
Keyboard warriors.
I seriously need to start tapping back into this Friday night energy. When this is depicted in film and TV shows, it feels like time stands still on Friday nights.
Yeah.
There's always pizza and movies and popcorn and soda.
Candy.
The houses always feel cozy and comfortable. And no matter what else happened this week, no matter how stressful school or work was, no matter what arguments you had or what your parents were mad about, the whole family comes together for that Friday night ritual. The energy shift is obvious in this episode too. Like as shitty as his father has been and continues to be with his sarcastic comments about, his little stocks joke about selling when Mike's temperature hits 100.
Yeah, I was like, it's a joke about stocks, Ben, don't worry. You don't want to know.
He visibly softens at the mention of the Friday night movie.
Yeah.
And he's genuinely kind for the first time we've seen the whole episode, offering to bring home something special for Mike as a token of comfort, and even letting Ben stay home to hang out with Mike, for a while as he's resting. I feel like it has something to do with the family movie event.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just my nostalgia talking, but...
And maybe it's the dad's nostalgia talking too.
Could be. Maybe it's just my own trauma speaking about, man, I can't wait to get to Friday when the family stops fighting about shit that doesn't matter. And while their parents are out renting We're Back or Once Upon a Forest or heck,
there they are.
Maybe even Hocus Pocus or The Halloween Tree.
There they are.
These are all 1993 films.
I know.
Ben says he doesn't want to go fishing without Mike.
I'm really gonna miss you not going fishing tomorrow.
And this conversation sets us up for the third act of this ghost story, because Ben has never been to the river without Mike, and therefore without Mike looking out for him.
No sweat. I was going there when I was 10. Besides, you'll have your friends with you. That'd be cool.
Just like you used to go with Ricky.
Yeah.
I realize this is meant to be some poignant commentary, but I also think it's a very subtle yet clever reminder that just because you're out with friends doesn't mean you're impervious to danger. Which, now that I think about it, that's exactly the kind of message my parents tried to get across to us growing up. It's like, well, I'll be with my friends.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything.
You're not immune. You're not immune.
Because how can your friends keep you safe if your friends are sometimes the ones that put you in danger?
Right.
Which is exactly what happens.
Yeah.
With Ben.
Yeah, to me, a group of kids, depending on the kid, depending on the influence, can be more dangerous.
Sure can. Which is the story I was always told, which was always like, you get a bunch of boys together, you have one brain.
Yep.
What? The more boys you have together, the fewer brains you have among you.
Oh my God. I used to feel that way about my boyfriends in high school. I was like, I really like you when we're together by ourselves or in, with my group of friends, whatever. But like when it's you and like a bunch of dudes don't like you anymore, your whole personality changes and it's awful.
I think that's probably a common lament.
That's a toxic masculinity, performance-based issue, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I used to run in those circles for sure.
So you admit it. The more boys, the fewer brains.
Absolutely. When we were teenagers, yes, for sure.
Then why do we let men lead the country?
I just don't have any friends now. That's the problem. I went the opposite way. I was like, this sucks. I don't need any of you. I'm better off alone.
Overcorrected.
Story of my life. In many ways, this is Ben's story. And I'd love to read a well-crafted first-person narrative from Ben's perspective on the upcoming fishing trip to the river where his older brother's best friend died 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Give it a Watcher in the Woods kind of vibe, you know?
Parallels, repeating cycles.
Yeah, his brother's falling apart lately, and he's having all these nightmares and seeing the ghost of his dead best friend everywhere, you know, leaving Ben feeling like this dark cloud's hanging over everything as he watches, you know, his brother's dwindling mental health, his parents struggle to maintain the status quo, and Ben's own sense of dread about the upcoming fishing trip alone, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, did you really see him?
I swear I did, Ben. Everyone thinks I'm a few sandwiches short of a picnic.
And then Ben's like, hey, what did Dad's joke mean? Was it dirty?
Was it dirty?
The question, was it dirty? I was like, this is new. This is different. This is kind
It made me
of...
so uncomfortable. I was like, no, Ben,
This is
no.
kind of aged up, too.
A little bit. I guess that's what DJ meant when he was like, well, they weren't all just for kids. Some of them were for teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's true.
Right.
That's true. But the brothers have a nice moment here because Ben believes him, genuinely. And knowing how disappointed Ben is, Mike promises to sneak out the next morning and go fishing with him, in spite of the doctor's orders. And knowing what we know, this very likely satisfies Ricky's ghost, and therefore satiates the haunting, which would explain why Ricky doesn't visit Mike again this evening. But that doesn't mean it would stop Mike's nightmares, because despite what everyone in the story believes, the two are unrelated. Mm-hmm. So Mike has another nightmare about Ricky. And this time, it's about his ghost. He comes to Mike in the dark of night, opening the bedroom door and approaching his bed with arms outstretched.
Intense visual.
Because we need just one more good, spooky, scary, ghosty moment before we learn the truth behind the haunting.
Yep.
A revelation that many people online refer to as the twist. The next morning, their dad insists on giving Ben a lift to the river, which means he doesn't get to wake Mike, who oversleeps, missing his chance to join Ben for their day of fishing, literally a few yards from the bridge where Ricky died. Mm-hmm. I find it very surprising that Mike didn't establish a new fishing spot.
Yeah, seriously.
After Ricky's death.
For real.
The bridge is totally fenced off, complete with a red danger sign.
5 years later.
Yeah, they never fixed it.
City works.
Some things are just too broken to fix, you know what I mean? But just in case we aren't sure what this is, Ben's punk-ass friend is all like,
Isn't that where your brother's friend got killed? Keep moving. I don't want to hear any more about Ricky.
So many little punk-ass boys.
I know.
God, it makes me mad. It made me mad when I was a kid. It made me mad when I watched this episode.
That's the thing, is that's how kids are.
Yeah,
I had
some
friends
boys
like
are that
this
way.
kid.
Like, again, it's a performance of masculinity and this idea of being tough that makes you just a total and complete asshole.
Yeah.
No compassion, no empathy, because those are feminine traits that you can't show if you don't want yourself to become a victim of the same type of bullying.
Empathy and understanding are just so feminine that you have to be.
And I can think of a lot of grown men in a lot of very public positions right now that act the same exact way. You insult everybody around you.
Who are you talking about? I'm unaware of who you're referring to.
If you don't know, dear Darkling, if you're unaware, all you have to do is open any news app.
Honestly, at this point,
read any one
of
sentence.
them, because they're all turning on him. All of them.
Yeah, well, that too. Read any one sentence.
It's fantastic. I love it.
You'll see the same type of behavior.
But yeah, I don't know what crawled up this kid's butt and died, but it's like he was determined not to have a good time that day. But back home, Mike is finally awoken by Ricky's ghost. And it's a good thing too, because there's not a single second to lose. Ricky calls to him from outside of the yard, his haunting voice floating in on the wind. And fed up with this shit, Mike runs outside to confront the specter that's been tormenting him.
Okay, fine. He wants me. Let me get over with. I'm sick of this.
But as Ricky now reveals, he's not there to hurt Mike. He knows that Mike tried to save
Do
him.
whatever you want to me.
I'm not here to hurt you, Mike. You're my best friend. You tried to save my life.
So now, to return the favor, Ricky is there to warn him that Ben is in danger of meeting the same fate. In other words, history is about to repeat.
He's in danger, Mike. I tried to tell you yesterday at school. You must go to him before it's too late. He's at the bridge. My bridge.
And this is where the whole eternal friendship thing comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though Ricky is a ghost, he and Mike are still best friends.
Yeah.
And they miss each other more than life itself.
Mm-hmm.
But Ricky isn't there to spend time with Mike because saving Ben is more important than that.
There's also this idea that like everything that's happening has already happened. It's all kind of happening at once. There's this like knowledge in the afterlife of like what's going to happen if you don't fix it. Very similar to David Winning's situation in Tale of Locker 22.
Right. In fact, when Mike tries to buy just one more moment with him, Ricky's like, dude, you gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
I miss you, Ricky.
I miss you too, Mike. Get going. It's a long ride and we don't want Ben on this side just yet.
It's like that hymn, you know, from, I can remember it very vividly from my childhood, but it's the further along we'll know all about it, further along we'll understand why.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't know this right now, you won't know this right now, and that has to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get it one day, basically. Like we say to a child, like you're not old enough yet, like one day. And it's kind of the same thing, like soul to soul. Your soul isn't there yet. Your soul is not ready.
Right.
It's nice. I don't know.
It is comforting. Yeah. I mean, like I said up top, maybe death isn't chaos. Maybe it's intelligent and intentional. Right. And maybe guardian angels are just ghosts with unfinished business. I think Jacob Marley would have a lot to say on that subject.
I couldn't agree more.
I just think it's kind of funny, kind of sad that the stoic, cold ghost of a dead child has a warmer affect than any of the living, breathing adults found in this episode.
Woof, you've said it. That's the thesis statement for this episode right there.
But why is Ben in danger? Because he accidentally knocks over his punk-ass friend's drink. So that so-called friend takes Ben's fishing bobber and chucks it over the fence of danger to the spot where Ricky died.
Fence of danger.
What did you do that for? Sorry, another accident.
It's so very not cool on so many levels.
To me, at that point, I'm like, goodbye, bobber. I don't need you that badly.
Yeah.
Nothing is worth this risk. To me, as a child especially.
Yeah, no thank you. He knows too much at this point. I just...
Yeah.
It's that like you're so close. He can't see
the idea, like, I'm just going to grab it. It's just going to be really quick for just a second.
2 seconds.
Yeah, I was never fooled by that kind of thinking. Like, as a kid, those thoughts pop into your head, but I could never risk it. I even do it as I'm driving and, like, existing in life today. Like, oh, so I could just maybe just a little... No, I always err on the side of caution because you never know.
Got to.
You just never know.
And as Ben is trying to retrieve his bobber from the shallows, he gets his foot wedged in between a pile of large rocks. So, in a physically but not spiritually impossible feat, Mike hops on Ricky's shiny red ghost bicycle and heads for the bridge, where Ben tries to call out to his friends, but they just can't hear him. The thing that I don't get is how Mike rides past another waterworks.
Thank you. That's what I wrote. I said, what are the odds that today is also the day of maintenance? But I guess it is the cycles repeating. Maybe it's the anniversary. I'm sure they would have mentioned that were it true, but
it's close. It's not the anniversary, but it's close because this is the weekend of fishing season, and before
right. So
they said it's only a couple weeks away. So this is 2 weeks after the anniversary.
Okay,
but it's close.
Same time of year, same potentially maintenance needing performed.
I don't know. I mean, this
plausible.
could be something that happens every day.
Also, we don't know how frequently that's taking place.
For all I know,
we're not water scientists nor city employees.
Never claimed to be a water scientist. Thank you very much. But does he not realize that that's how Ricky died? I mean, he probably would have broken some bones on the rocks below the bridge, but what killed him is most likely that torrent of water. He must not realize.
Yeah, and Ben, having heard this story over and over and over and over, you would think he especially would be mindful and like cognizant of that danger. Like he would be very aware.
Yeah.
Like he would have to be aware. But again, he's a young boy with a group of young boys.
With nary a brain between them.
Sometimes boys forget what they know to be true. In the face of that.
Yep. And what happens next is a display of just how extreme Mike's PTSD is. He's made it to the bridge where he knows for a fact that Ben is about to die.
Yeah.
But he's so triggered by the sight of it that he has a literal flashback to the day that Ricky died. He almost doesn't act quick enough to save Ben, but luckily, Ben's yells break Mike free from his trance. So, when did my anxiety begin, you ask? With Ben getting stuck in the spillway. The water comes flooding out, crashing and roaring its way closer and closer to Ben, making for one of the most suspenseful sequences in pretty dark history. But Mike makes it to Ben's side and pulls him free.
Just in the nick of time.
Just as the canal waters come raging down into the river.
That was probably pretty complicated to shoot. I mean, the angles and all, you could cheat a lot of stuff and make it work, but
it had
we
to
know
be
how complicated it is to have kids in water, in bodies of water.
They had to find a real functional spillway at a real dam that they could actually open to allow this water to come through. Like that looked, I watched it a bunch of times to see if it was
Knowing
fakes.
what we now know.
That was a real thing.
Right.
It might have been multiple locations all cut together, maybe, but for what it was, that was a real dam.
Yeah. Knowing what we now know, maybe someone was inspired by that dam in the town to write their, pitch to DJ.
Could be.
Like
maybe they had one in their town growing up.
These stories were all coming from all over the place. So exactly, yeah, maybe someone on staff had a friend who was injured or died that way. I mean,
could be. So a small town legend, perhaps.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. I really wish I'd asked him. We
could ask him those questions about every single episode.
We just had him. I know we could always just email him. We should. And when Mike climbs back up the bank, we all realize together that Ricky's bike isn't so shiny or red anymore. It's warped and totally rusted through, evidence of being submerged in water for half a decade. So how did Mike ride it all the way to the river?
How did he?
How?
Ghost magic.
I was going to say ghost magic.
It's ghost magic. Ghost magic.
If you don't go with ghost magic, I guess some things just can't be explained. But David sure does his best as he brings his story to a close.
The very next day, a man who was fishing found the remains of Ricky Haggerty. Why had it taken so many years to find him? Mike Buckley will tell you that it's because he wasn't even down there. Not at least until he had paid back a favor to an old friend.
A wild concept. Again, it's that idea of time looping. It's never really over. It's all happening at once. Where actually are we? Someone can't die or their remains can't be found because they're not fully at rest yet. For 5 years, they're not at rest because they know 5 years later, Ben's going to almost die. Right.
Right.
I don't know, but
time is a loop, and that's the point of this episode. But it's kind of a medieval understanding of ghosts, because it used to kind of be that you weren't just the ghost of a dead person. It was that you were a revenant of a dead person that came back from the grave to present warnings or whatever, some sort of wisdom, sage advice.
Right.
For a long time, you were the body in the grave. If you were a ghost, you just came back and then you went back to the grave. So this is kind of the same concept, that he wasn't just Ricky's ghost, he was Ricky's corpse. And honestly, that's a Stephen King concept too, because a lot of the ghost in Stephen King's works, it sort of blurs the lines of, was it a spirit or was it that guy's corpse that walked into my house?
A zombie style.
Pet Sematary does that really well.
Does House of Usher kind of do that a little bit too, maybe?
I guess so.
Flanagan's House of Usher.
That's really more of a psychological thing, potentially, because he sees them, in the church, and then he sees them standing. I guess they do. I'm
thinking of them burying the mom, and then she kind of comes
you're right.
back.
She does come back. You're right.
Yeah.
So sure.
But they're like, but you're a ghost.
Yeah. See, it's a nice blurring of those lines that, you don't really have to explain that, because who's going to question it?
You don't really have to explain it, because the line is that they are dead, whatever form they take.
Right.
It's the line between dead and living, not so much between flesh and spirit.
I declare this meeting of Midnight Society closed.
But my question to you and everyone else is this.
Until next time.
Speaking of time, looping on itself. Ricky has come back from the grave to warn Mike about Ben's untimely death.
Right.
But the only reason Ben is ever actually in danger is because Mike isn't there to look out for him.
Right. And Mike isn't there.
But the only reason Mike isn't there is because everybody thinks he's sick, because he's been seeing the ghost of his dead best friend, who's there to warn him about his little brother's untimely death. So is this a vicious cycle?
Yeah.
Or is it a plot hole?
Because this event happened. Vicious cycle or plot hole? Oftentimes they're both.
Do we have answers? I don't know.
But yeah, if Ricky hadn't died, Mike would have been there with Ben, and Ben likely wouldn't have gone in or would have been immediately rescued.
You think Mike would have let him go in there?
Yeah, there's no way. But would Mike have let him go in had his best friend not died? And then Ben would have been the one to die. Then Ricky and Mike, who were living, would then be haunted by Ben's ghost 5 years later when Ricky and Mike
that's a different
in college go to
entirely.
the fishing spot.
I don't know. I mean, that's a whole nother layer to it.
Was it like the kind of situation where this body of water needed a soul at that time, and it's every 5 years it takes one? That's a Stephen King type of deal.
That's
some Stephen King type shit. That's your concept for
That's my screenplay that Mike Flanagan stole and made Bly Manor.
Right, exactly. This body of water, it requires
But it was every
a soul.
10 years. It was 10 years. Yeah. No, I don't think it's anything that extreme. Yes, that would be a Stephen King concept. That would also be a Christian Mott concept.
Yeah.
I don't know. The way I would do it is Mike hasn't been fishing since Ricky's death. He was never going to go. His brother wants him to. He keeps refusing. And then the ghost tells him to go. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it just sort of fixes that problem. But
right.
Who knows? I don't know. I think there are maybe ways to fill that hole or strengthen the narrative in some way, but I don't think the overall point or the poignancy of the story suffers by any means.
Right.
Mike beating himself up over Ricky's death is a very real life thing to do. Mm-hmm. And there are likely millions of people who would give anything for that kind of closure from a deceased friend or relative or whatever kind of loved one. Mm-hmm. A lot of people online have said that Mike and Ricky's exchange there at the end was an unexpectedly emotional moment for them. Mm-hmm. And knowing what we know about DJ, that alone is mission accomplished.
Absolutely. That unexpected, I miss you, like the honesty, this earnest, like friendship and the love between them. Mm-hmm. And we don't see stuff like that very much, even on this show, like just that depth of emotion between the kids.
It's true. Especially like platonic boys. Like that's a hard thing for guys to do.
Right.
But yeah, it was just plainly there on screen.
In this episode, we have two extremes. We have this toxic masculine friend group that is nothing but trouble. And then we have these pure of heart boys who truly love each other and care about each other and transcends life and death and everything in between.
Life and death.
And then brotherhood, and that being kind of the center of it. Death and life, right next door to each other. A hair between them. We quoted a lot, y'all. If you haven't seen Elizabethtown.
Do yourself a favor and go watch it this weekend.
It's my favorite movie.
I have some final thoughts, but before we get there, why don't we do a scareometer?
Wow, been a minute.
Yeah.
Been a minute since we did a scareometer. What did you give it? You go first.
I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Hey.
For the realism behind the true horrors of this story. Because the scariest parts of this episode have little more to do with the ghost than what the ghost represents. And that is the real-life implications of PTSD. Not to mention the reality that tragedy does not discriminate. That it can and often does strike even in the moments we would least expect it to.
Yeah, I gave it a 7 too for similar reasons, if not
we have to.
You know me, you guys know me. You know that idea of like this thing that can't be undone. This tragedy that strikes, like you said, when you least expect it, like the idea that something so like nice and wholesome as a bike ride home or a fishing trip could turn into tragedy haunts me every single day of my life. Every bad thing that's happened to me or my family. Exactly.
Just two kids.
Every bad thing that's ever happened to me and my family, I think back to that moment of happiness or like calm before the storm kind of thing. And someone recently said this to me, actually. It was something so small as like me deciding on an outfit to wear. And I was like talking through like what outfit I was going to wear to something and like how much I might regret it if I wear XYZ thing or whatever. And he was like, you do that a lot. And I was like, what? And he was like, you lament the circumstances that could get you to this path of like no return and like this place that you're going to be in where you regret it. And like you look and then, or alternatively, I'm like, oh man, I'm so like sick today. I wish that I'd remembered to take like, because I forgot to take this medication yesterday, I'm so sick and how dare I do that? Right. And like the self-flagellation involved in like forgetting that medication. And it's like you lament this thing that you did to cause this problem. And I'm like, that's because I live in a state of like, I can't be the cause of that problem. I've lived too much of it. Like That's
probably from
PTSD.
things like this. It's got to be from stuff like this, though. It's just like conditioned us to be like, I'm too happy right now. What bad things about
Oh,
to
and
happen?
that's a given. That's religious trauma, partially, I think. But also
Absolutely.
just,
What
I have
am I
had a lot of
forgetting?
shoes drop in my life, which is exactly what I said to my friend. I said, I've had a lot of shoes drop and I'm always expecting them. And that is a trait of mine that's not, I'm not proud of it. I'm not happy about it. But I do try really hard to anticipate those shoes and how I can mitigate when they fall. And we talk about that on the show all the time. So yeah, this kind of thing, the haunting, wanting that closure, wanting to close the loop, wanting to absolve yourself of this guilt that you feel, although it wasn't your fault that it happened, you couldn't make it right.
Mm-hmm.
And it resulted in something like you losing this best friend that matters so much to you. Like, I can't think of many scarier things. When people ask me like what my fears are, or anytime anything like that comes up, one of the number one things I say is losing people I love.
Right.
To lose someone I love is my greatest fear in any way, shape, or form that could happen. So that's a fear for everybody. And again, you never know. And then with everything that I've faced in the last couple of years and my family and just in general, it just amplifies all that.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be very aware of the good moments when you're in them, lest they be taken from you for not appreciating them enough or something.
That's a story. You didn't appreciate this happy memory, so I'm taking it from you.
Yeah. Man, oh man, I wish I didn't think that way.
I would say that sounds like a Neil Gaiman story, but I can't give him any credit anymore. Unfortunately.
Don't do that.
Can't do that.
Scary episode on all fronts.
I keep finding a lot of shoes, but they're all baby shoes and they're all lefties.
Just don't drop them, whatever you do.
Yeah, well, that's also a flip. Be the one dropping the shoes.
Oh.
Interesting.
Drop your own shoes so that you can control it.
Man, that is a self-affirming
drop
practice.
your own
Go
shoes.
drop your own shoes.
Well, that's part of what I'm doing in trying to mitigate it, is trying to anticipate the shoes that are dropping. So then it feels like I called
anticipate
it.
the needs of the shoes. Does a shoe need to be dropped here or there? you anticipate,
Where does the shoe want to be?
No one's thinking enough about the shoes.
Yeah.
What type of shoes are they? What do they
They didn't
want?
ask to be dropped, presumably.
What are the shoes demographics? Maybe we can categorize.
Do a PowerPoint.
To dampen our good-hearted mood here for a second. On a macro scale, I find it chilling, if not sobering, that the many human constructs and schedules and engineering marvels of the world do not care about the humans who invented them. We've made them so that they will not yield to us if we stand in their way, like the floodwaters of an open spillway. But at the same time, I can't help but commend this episode for its themes of history repeating itself. It's exemplary in many ways, because the world might function like a cold, unfeeling machine, but that machine is an analog clock with hands that must pass by the 12 and continue moving back down through the numbers again, repeating over and over. And if we pay close enough attention to what those numbers are as the hands tick past, we stand a pretty good chance of predicting what the next one is going to be. And I think that's a lesson that could be learned for the country at large and the world beyond it.
Yeah, learn to read a clock, kids.
Tragedy awaits. And if that's not just the most uplifting, positive message you were hoping for this evening, then,
what better place to end it?
I don't know why you came to our show. So.
Man, I do, because you guys missed us, didn't you?
Yeah.
Didn't you miss us just a little bit?
I feel like it's been forever.
Me too. It's been longer for us than it has for our Darkling friends, thankfully, because we did have that incredible interview in the interim.
That's true.
But
that's true.
Yeah, it's been a minute since we were behind the microphone, so any any rustiness that you hear, we hope and pray that will have dissipated by next time.
Do you hear the squeaky wheels of our rusty bikes? That's what I've got going on right now.
Because, we have plenty of Pretty Darkness planned for the rest of this summer and beyond. And we are so excited to get back into the swing of things. It's been a crazy, chaotic time for both of your ghost hosts. And we hope that your
major
summer
life changes
has been wonderful and amazing. And if you've been undergoing any major life changes the way that we have, we hope that those are going as well for you as they possibly can. If you want to, in the meantime, before we get back in your ears, reach out to us on social media. You can do that at That's Pretty Dark Podcast on Instagram, at That's Pretty Dark on TikTok, which has been severely neglected by me, I will admit. You can also email us, That's Pretty Dark Podcast at gmail.com, and tell us how much you missed us or how much you didn't, if that's more your fancy. And if you just want to support us during these changing phases as we are continuing to bring you as much Pretty Darkness as time, space, and life allow, you can find us on Patreon, patreon.com/TPD podcast. And
that's one of my big goals this year is to get back to the Patreon and start uploading some ghost stories.
There's definitely some content there for you. We've got the full video interview with DJ up there.
Yes. Coming soon is going to be the David and Roger interview, as well as the David and Jody interview as well. We have 2 more interviews coming your way.
And we've got so much just like cutting room floor content that hopefully Christian and editing Mason can get that.
I forget about the cutting room floors
as well.
But I will say, I looked into the history of the bicycle, like who invented the bicycle, and guess what? Nobody can agree on who actually invented it. So there is a massive amount of information there that I decided to save for, you know, a Patreon episode. So we're going to have to get to that one of these days.
Yeah, I'd like to learn about the bicycle.
It was interesting. I just couldn't fit it into the episode.
Fair.
For tonight. So
thank you so much for your patience with us throughout this summer. Thank you for being there. Thank you for listening now and sticking with us. And we can't wait to get a little wild with our next upcoming movie night episode series.
Wild.
It's going to be a real jungle of a time.
I was going to say that. It's not the Jungle Book.
And it is not the Jungle Book.
I know everybody's minds went to Jungle Book.
Sure.
It's not the Jungle Book. But yeah, you know, we're getting older out there, all of us. But hop on your bikes.
Oh,
go for a ride.
How nice.
Feel the breeze.
A bike ride would probably cure me.
I think it would
probably heal a lot.
I have been thinking a lot about
pain and sorrow.
The last bike that I owned was an antique already, and I did not take care of it. And it's technically too small for me, so I need a new bike.
Yeah,
but bikes,
I haven't had a bike in years. I had a road bike in my early 20s.
Bikes have gotten expensive.
Yeah, they have.
Adult bikes are expensive, not your kid bike from like Walmart.
I could almost fit on one of those.
You probably could. Yeah, I mean, if you shop for kids' clothing, you can probably fit on a kid's bike.
Yeah,
but
I think so.
The bikes I want are like $1,000, and I can't justify that.
I mean,
can't justify it.
For that feeling, to have that feeling again of that.
Isn't it worth it?
Yeah, priceless.
Can you really put a price on a motorist road rage, just like running you off the road?
Absolutely priceless.
I don't even need to be buried or like to be interred or like in a tomb or anything, but like if you could put a ghost bike in my honor somewhere on the side of the road, I'd feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
I think.
At least there'd be a legacy, you know?
Engraved on the side, Christian Mott, father, lover, dreamer.
Jesus Christ.
Rider of bicycles.
And ghost host.
Ghost host, folklorist.
Oh my God.
It doesn't end.
Did you? Yeah, you guys are like, you know what? Maybe we didn't miss y'all as much as we thought we did.
This isn't what you missed? You didn't come here for this?
Hey guys, we're going to see you again soon, and we can't wait.
We are. We're going to haunt your...
Hope you can, though.
We're going to haunt you soon. Can't wait to show up in your lives.
In your classroom, hallway.
Your living, your bedrooms.
Nurse's station.
See you in your bedroom tonight.
Yikes.
Miss you. Love you.
Yeah. Hey guys, we miss you. Thanks, Christian. Thanks, Mason.
Thanks, everyone.
Good evening, good afternoon, and good night.
Ooh, Truman Show. Very good. Very nice. That's Pretty Dark Podcast is produced by Kaylin Andrews and me, Christian Baxter Mott.
With music by Jonathan Simmons and cover design by Halftone Horror.
You can support our show by supporting our sponsors, or go to patreon.com/TPD podcast to unlock all the Pretty Dark bonus content we have in store.
Please share your experiences and let us know what shows, films, or villains still haunt you from childhood on our socials or at that'sprettydarkpodcast@gmail.com.
For all other information, visit our website, that'sprettydark.com.
Remember, you're never really alone.
So, until next time, sweet dreams, everyone.
That's it. It's bedtime for you, pal.